Me when I pull a bunch of Merceaus. Hey everybody, welcome back to more Limbus Company. I'm SlayerMathis, and last time we started off our regular checkup, and this time we will continue the regular checkup. Okay, we started and then we went back, and then we're going back in, and the whole thing. Once we disembarked the bus, we made our way into this unfamiliar vehicle of sorts. Its interior was mostly metallic, filled to the brim with convoluted-looking machines, and on the opposite end of the entrance, a massive door loomed over us. This is... Assistance from P Corp in the process of developing this device was indispensable. Wait, that means... In cahoots with young Cesar, are you? Hi day! Much I aspire to regale you with the tale of the contract's glorious completion of mine heroism and bravery, just quite unfairly to meet her all by the lonesome young Faust. Your concerns will be taken into account next time. Faust seemed relieved. Oh, worry thee not, for thou hast availed the sites of Limbus Company headquarters. Thy tit hath been tutted for. There are numerous reasons for which you are yet to be allowed into the headquarters, but as it would be a fruitless effort to explicate them all, we will not cover that subject here. Glad to see we're not sitting through another lecture. The primary reason, however, is that we were several limitations to bring the members of our department to the headquarters brought upon by frequent trans-nest movements and irregular scheduling of our missions. Why'd you say that if you were going to explain it all anyway? More importantly, what's that about collaborating with P Corp? Boy, here we go again. P Corp's singularity can be summarized by the following 4 words: expansive space warping technology. Right, didn't you say that how Miss Cesar told you something about how the principle of P Corp's singularity is a lot like how a Munchland works? Right. The Munchland was much larger on the inside than what's on the outside. Yeah, I've been meaning to ask. Don't other wings already make liberal use of different kinds of space-expanding singularities? How should I put this? Isn't it a bit mundane of a city tech for P Corp to call space manipulation its unique thing? That was quite the intelligent question. Compliments, so nice. Ishmael is corrected by suggesting that technology to expand a given space is commonly employed technology by other wings as well. An example of one such invention making use of the space expansion technology, but isn't a P Corp singularity, would be Mephistopheles. The ultimate purpose of P Corp space expansion technology is to create the safest place in the world. A perfectly protected construct, its interior is sheltered from the world outside no matter how severely its exterior is battered, with sound structural integrity no matter what. Its interior is safe from any and all harm. Therefore, the more expensive a P Corp product is, the safer its interior is from damaging outside conditions such as extreme pressure or shock. Perhaps the way in which the interior is completely insulated from the outside is comparable to a full disconnect from the outside world by sheltering in a separate dimension. In conclusion, the exterior of this vehicle utilizes P Corp's singularity, which means it can protect its interior from all forms of impact, not to mention that it has enough room to hold more than 13 people inside. Don't dimensional trucks or containers also transport things to other dimensions? This ain't quite freezing up all of a sudden. There was this creepy story that used to circulate among kids back when I was in school. Here's how it goes. So a Deaf Association employee was delivered to a house, walks away for a second, and a curious kid crawled through the courier trunk and... I'm gonna stop the story there. Like, the story kept me up at night for a whole week, okay? I couldn't stop having nightmares about the scenario where... come on, sometimes a story is just a story. Not necessarily. Unfortunately, the story that inspired Sinclair's week-long nightmares was most likely an accurate retelling of a true story. Several regulations were added to Hana and Deviant Association's rules to prevent cases of people being stored in dimensional containers. From a certain perspective, it may be said that the warp technology employed by W Corp shares a degree of similitude. The parallel lies in the fact that also transport humans to a different dimension, the difference being that they are packaged in a safer manner. Therefore, perhaps enough of a connection exists to say that they operate on the same scale. Anywho, the point is that we'll always have access to headquarters as long as we have this vehicle thing, right? Certainly make logistics communication supply much more convenient. One question, however. How does the company plan to move this instrument, as I expect that would be much trouble on its own? Has the detail been hashed out yet? No. In order to establish more tangible level of communication with Limbus Company headquarters, an effective means of transportation such as this vehicle will be installed in nests across the city. And stopping inefficient means of transport, such as this vehicle here, developed using P Corp and the aspirate W Corp's technology, will have to be installed at various points across the city. In every nest? Of course not. Technology is still experimental. It is astronomically expensive to install and operate. Vigilius gave us a firm clarification. Activating now. Faust tinkers with various machines and contraptions within the vehicle. A giant door from earlier begins to tremble, making a loud noise. Wherefore is that gate over yonder shivering so? Energy is now linked to routing toward that gate. When the gauge displays around the glowing door filled, the door begins to slowly open. Entering now. When it fully opened, Faust made her way inside just like it was another door. Let's follow her inside. It was a bizarre, incomprehensible noise of machines, coupled with a low, droning noise. We have arrived. Home to the Limbus Company headquarters. This place is teeming with people dressed in all sorts of odd outfits, walking briskly between their busy schedules. I hear heavy doors opening and closing from here and there, alongside that odd sensation I've been feeling from time to time. It's the floor of the LCE department. LCE? Hopefully gets proudly striding through HQ's front gate one day. It's actually very fitting that I went into this because a lot of the current Kanto 9, is presently taking place in LCE. That's nice. Hohenheim! Gotta go and fight ourselves a bunch of Picatula. Oh, we wait for something to happen. We're suddenly unfamiliar with the concept of introducing ourselves. Given that no one appears to be willing to introduce me, allow me the liberty of self-introduction. My name is Hohenheim, the chief researcher of this company. To be precise, he is the chief researcher of the LCE department. To be more precise, I am the chief researcher responsible for the entirety of Limbus Company. To be even more precise, the only reason he retains the role is because he's Song and I have to exclude from the research personnel files due to our status as a senator. Someone will stay behind to continue the research after all. Ah, so you two are friends? Well, it seems entirely unnecessary to establish a label in this relationship. It could be said that we are acquaintances who routinely and unwillingly maintain a regular level of communication with one another. I'm in agreement. For the first time since we were acquainted. I heard that our department has reached out several times to you to remind you of this regular checkup. The nature of the LCB department necessitates that we are constantly on the move from one nest to another, which makes it rather difficult for us to give you an immediate reply. I would have expected someone like you to already be well aware of this obvious detail. Yes, I was very well. I'm also quite aware of the fact that your department has been giving us that same reply over and over again like an answering machine. And this must be Dante, the executive manager of the Limbus Company Centers. I'd like to say hi and nice to meet you, but I don't suppose you can hear what I'm saying. The manager extends their greetings. Charmed. It is grueling and arduous work to be in a position of leadership, especially when communication issues come into play. Sometimes I cannot help but wonder if my researchers and I are even on the same speaking the same language I do commiserate. How odd. The clothes are... Ah yes, allow me to introduce you all to Martin and Alyssa, two of the few researchers directly in my command. They weren't gear tracked for abnormalities, but how? I'm happy to have someone who recognizes them. And like gears scanned for the former L-Corp? While there are partial similarities to the gears, enough differences are present to distinguish them. Indeed, we attempted our own brand of extractions, successfully I might add. But the news of production of illegal gear in Limbus Company style was already received. This is the very first time they were observed in person. So you must have abnormalities contained in this facility. That's why I've been sensing abnormalities in here, huh? But I'm sensing distortions in Picatula too. Indeed, as they are containment from research subjects for the LCE department as well. Faust closely observed the ego gear Hohenheim was wearing, like an exceptionally harsh judge in a fashion contest. Apart from a few imperfections in the finish, the level of ego extraction visible here is quite acceptable. Input appreciated. It is the product of thousands of repeated experiments and subsequent failures that have been meticulously conducted and studied in order to extract it with an acceptable level of stability. But at the end of the day, I did it. Like I always do. You did it? Are you sure you want to take all the credit when your team is standing right behind you? We're used to it. Alright, piss off! I'm going mad surrounded by these self-absorbed twats. It's ready to get bought and some poor bastard. Just get on with the checkup so we can get back on the bus, yeah? I feel the very same urgency you express. There is much we must cover, regrettably, since this is the first ever regular checkup performed as a group since your employment. Faust also does not wish to pass more time without substance. Let us begin. Very well. Our first task shall be to assess your abilities in response to emergency situations. Let's press something. Emergency situations? The walls of the laboratory suddenly started separating and sliding into place. Once settled, I realized that it locked the sinners away in some kind of hold, isolating from me, Vergilius, and Karam. What the hell? It's an ambush! Yes, it is. The purpose of this test is to measure your behaviors and response in the case of a surprise attack, so ambush it is. Was this discussed before, Vergilius? Look anxious, Dante. Well, I suppose you won't let in on this either. I wasn't, for your information. Just go with their flow, Dante. So it goes would be an apt response. I'll find a room somewhere where Karen and I might sit down and enjoy some nice tea. Come find me with Faust once this is over. Karen wants cake too. Oh hey, we have some leftover cake from our last office party. Come this way, please. An employee appeared and led Vergilius and Karen away to a nearby office room. So this is a regular checkup, huh? Let's get this done. I enjoy a regular checkup. That said, oh, we get Hohenheim as an announcer, but he doesn't actually say anything. So presumably, when the book comes in not too long, like that should be, well, that'll be, I don't know exactly when that'll be. I would guess probably around March, is when the regular checkup book would be. But once that's up, we're gonna get a Hohenheim announcer, I would assume. Makes sense. They're still just Picasula, so it's not like they're difficult, but yeah. Went through various tests, including command ability trials using Picasula and Divigier. Ha! Commander Esquire! Hi-ho! I have attained the score most perfect! To be surpassed by Miss Don Quixote in the contest of knowledge, must I delve further in my studies. In Songbird, they were testing our facial association knowledge, huh? Totally. I just got more than enough fixer fixation for the entire bus. All kinds of general knowledge, trivia questions. And what's the first thing you focus on when meeting a new person? Look in the eyes. Strong look. Oh, yeah, that's not easy. Your leadership style is strong, decisive, and goal-oriented. You are, Marcel? We're fine a lot of quick break after going through all kinds of mysterious, strange personality tests as well. Next, basic fitness test for all sinners. Finally get started on the real meat of this checkup. Then, what were all those tests you guys were running on us? They were conducted in order to collect various data that the LCE department has been missing. In other words, we capitalized on this opportunity to fulfill our private curiosities. Still, that sounds very productive. Now I know a lot more about you guys that'll help us in the LCB, help us support the LCB going further. I'm gonna go over some testing we conducted in groups first. Please form a line here. What, like this? Seems so worthless. We've got a long day ahead of us. Ah, these are some comfy clothes they've given us. What? I can totally see myself wearing these to sleep. To sleep? They're LCE properties. You better return them as soon as we're done here. Gotcha. By the way, can you take a look at my wrist before we actually get started? I feel a bit of soreness there, but Dante won't clear the clock just for just me, you know? Turning the clock for such trivialities may cause the formation of an unfavorable habit. Perhaps Marcel can remember your pain. I'm also prepared to administer necessary aid should you request it. Actually, you know what? I'm totally fine now. Don't you worry. Please stand still. If you think I can't see some of your tiptoes, you're very wrong. Get off the ground, please. But my heels are on the ground. Fine. And can you snuff out your cigarette before the test begins? Oh, this one isn't lit. It's just there so I can look cool. What about bold? Scram. Okay, so the basic group tests are complete. I seem to have forgotten something quite important I had to establish prior to beginning the test in earnest. I need an assistant. An assistant? I need an assistant to help me smooth out the testing procedures. You got two of them already, right behind you in these directions. Oh, we're not Mr. Hohenheim's assistants. We're specifically assistant researchers. Yes, of course. There's much to distinguish between these two occupations. I would like for one of you to be my assistant for the duration of this checkup. Ro just suddenly raised her hand. I wasn't planning on asking for volunteers, but now that you raised your hand, I'll give you the floor. Don't ask me to do it. It's not my vibes, you know. I think a researcher job, though. Big fan of her style. Rody trailed off, brutally caressing the clothes of one of the researchers. What are you doing? I didn't really have you in mind anyway, but duly noted nonetheless. I would also like to refuse your nomination. The position of an assistant to Hohenheim implies that said assistant is, when it comes to skill, inferior to the person they are assisting. Again, I didn't have you in mind either, but your passionate expression of intent is nonetheless appreciated. Well, they came with this brilliant idea of putting two smartasses together to waste time pointing out each other's minor mistakes. If I were to talk about myself, I want to open up by saying that I was class vice president in school, a diligent model student who was assiduously? I don't know, man. Who still take the task of class president, and then when I started getting anxious a bit picked here. Fellas actually want to be his assistant. In the front and center things just bothers me, you know? I kind of felt like I had to apply for the position for some reason. That decision's already been made. You know the selection criteria is fully based on my very subjective opinion. You there, orange hair sitter. Ishmael almost threw me to the ground. She confidently showed up to the front of the line. Greetings, Mr. Hohenheim. As you must be aware, you've taken a look at my documents. I've rarely let anyone down during my various tenures at offices and associations. You have nothing to worry as long as I'm by your side. Also, can I add this experience to my resume if I ever get the chance to submit a transfer request to work at the headquarters? Didn't know you were still holding on to that hope. I called on you to ask me to move because you were standing in front of the center I chose. Everyone turned around to look at Heathcliff, who was absent-mindedly scratching at the bridge of his nose. Oh? Me? What? Me? It seemed Ishmael was even more shocked than Heathcliff was. What? Why? I'm right here. Why would he pick someone like... It's a common misconception among many researchers to assume that their higher level of education and more elaborate the resume, the better candidate one makes for the research project participant. But it's just common sense, isn't it? That's when it comes to research. However, we're aware that the most great discoveries are made from a potent mix of spontaneity and intuition. A perfect descriptor for our friend here, I would say. What say you, Heathcliff? I believe that this aggressive and passionate approach of yours gives you more than sufficient qualities to command and lead them in my stead. Is that right? He replied, scratching his head. Be honest now, Yi-Song. You were kind of looking forward to getting paired, weren't you? It is but fate that things that were once good in the eyes of the mainstream are to be made less desirable with the passions of time. And when one does indeed fall out of favor, intelligentsia of the bygone days must rightly excuse themselves to the realm of memories and past. Yi-Song replied with a particularly downcast look. I'm glad to have you on board, my new assistant. Yo! So, what have I got to do now? Nothing too complicated. You only need to liberally express your free spirit, just as you are now. Now I see what he's doing. Owen, I'm sure, knows which one of the groups to coax to make things go over smoothly. Martin whispered to me in a voice that only I could hear. See, it probably is just Martin, but the O makes me think Martin! The extra French! The extra French with it. Heathcliff seemed eager to, as Hohenheim had suggested, express his free spirit to the best of his capabilities. Oh, you there? Get along too far. Let's make it easy for all of us. But you're also participating in this test with the rest of us, Heathcliff? Yeah, but I'm the assistant. Since when do you wear glasses? Glasses are the basic apparatuses of all researchers. Look, slightly pushing up the glasses helps to put on an air of a studious, learned individual, like so. It's like I was slightly pushing up the frame of my glasses while wondering what to have for lunch, making it seem as though I'm contemplating on the more profound aspects of life. Oh, it's not looking any harder than it has to be, lass. Stuff that stick in your mouth. Been a while since I heard a pig squeal. Boy, can't you just do as I say for once? He's actually pretty effective. It seems you're now ready to conduct tests, finally. The primary purpose of this test is to see on a physical level how your current abilities scale compared to yourself before you're hiring. So they're basically trying to see how much they progressed since before they joined the company. I had a feeling this would happen, but the mere mention of the word progression caused rather loud rucks among the sinners. For to speak for myself, Executive Manager, I'm confidently saying that the very thought of progressing as a person and in all aspects of life is ingrained into my very being. Thus, as a fruit of those efforts, I've grown to be much more precise and scathing in my critique of others' mistakes. Is that progress, though? Perhaps I've learned to let certain thoughts rest in favor of others. I once allowed myself to be trapped in overlong ruminations on words of all manners, idly abiding as I was consumed by my very thoughts. Now, I have come to accept certain things as they are. Ooh. And I've come to sometimes allow my mind to form bereft of rigorous reason, floating away gently, as though on a rolling stream. Is that not quite pleasant? Okay, I guess that is progression of sorts. I'm pretty sure I'm less of a picky eater than I used to be. My grip strength is much stronger too. Ooh! Look, I think I'm getting calluses in my palms. I'm not to try to prove it to us. As we're finding I'm getting stronger too. That's an undeniable truth. It is a pretty spectacular year, you know? A brutal year, yet so potent with significance. I guess growth really does come with time, huh? Right? I feel like the bond control has got a lot deeper. It's all grow closer, you know? Like glue. Like glue, huh? I like it. A certain misunderstanding seems to be brewing in tandem with this uplifting exchange of heart-to-hearts. Allow me to step in and nip it in the bud. Let me give it to you straight. All of your abilities were diminished the moment you were hired by this company. Equally defanged and depowered, if you will. Equally defined? In other words, all of your abilities have been brought down to... to the same level as our 11th sinner here. Why am I your point of reference? If this is what you meant earlier by growing closer like glue, then I suppose it was quite the apt choice of words. Oh, I take that back! I take it back. Not, so you know I'm stronger than I am, huh? What I was saying is that the sense of self-preservation shattering to the ether? That's it, you bloody... Excuse me, I need to know why that happened. Did we all get depowered because of the Golden Bow? What, does this have anything to do with those chains that appeared when we first entered into contract with Dante? Indeed. But one of the powers of the Golden Bow is connection. You are now all fairly, evenly, and equally mediocre. Hohenheim's comment to the subsequent stare seemed a bit targeted. Think of it as something akin to cleave-off deterrents employed by the Laundry Corporation. It's just finally revealed. That's why I, Otis, grew so pathetically weak the moment I joined this company. Other implying thou hast always known. Of course! Had it been my pride, we could have wiped the floor with you miserable doormats in a matter of seconds. You wiped the floor with doormats? Man, we're all so prone to saying whatever once the burden of proof is gone, huh? So that's why my murderous arms been quiet ever since they hired me. I don't have anything to do with my heart after all. Gregor. Oi, what's the use of all this chatter? Realize that we've all been brought down to the level of the lad. But I got calluses on my palms. Yet, not all of the Golden Bow's effects must have been a detriment to us. Yisong started, carefully attempting to navigate through a conversation that appeared to be turning into a tinderbox. Was it not by the advantages granted to us by the Golden Bow impaled in the pallid whale of the Great Lake by which we triumphed? Really? Correct. Had the pallid whale been at its full strength, it's highly likely we may have still been trapped inside its stomach, struggling to survive. Also, it can be said that the diminishing effect was now applied in equal measure across all affected subjects. Makes sense, I guess. I never could have knocked Heath out with one punch if I was only as strong as Sank. It's really a trick, you know? Additionally, certain individual quirks cannot be suppressed by the Golden Bow. Certain quirks that one may consider to be an individual's idiosyncrasies. Ah, so that explains explains Ryoshi's suppressive blade with Mr. Bump back at the T-Corp factory. Mom, where's my breath boasting? You never do anyway. Well, if your strengths have indeed progressed since the onboarding, the average must have been rested as well. More the purpose of these tests is to measure that very difference. So what exactly goes into these tests? You know, is it that you use a machine that can analyze most aspects of the subject with a quick scan? Is it going to be something like that? There are dozens, if not hundreds of ways to determine one's ability without the assistance of machinery. In fact, I know of a perfectly appropriate methodology for this group. Perfectly appropriate methodology? We spent our time out of our busy schedules to tailor each test for each center of the LCP. It's pretty tough, how have you guys know? Just for each center, huh? I don't really like the sound of that, if you ask me. We will utilize the Picatula and the distortion phenomenon. Doesn't sound like some super innovative method you were building up to. What a letdown. Right? Well, also for all their talk, I thought they'd come up with something more impressive than that. Assistant? Oh, that's enough, chat! Now get in there! I love that CG. Heathcliff with his stupid fucking glasses. One fun thing with this, I believe, it was a little bit after this point in time, but, where the fuck even is this? In theater, I believe it is? Identity Archive. Yes. So we have these different, we have the different name tags for all of these sinners, that were mostly taken, like, right after they were hired, I believe is what it is. We see that more specifically with Honglu's. Like, Gregor's wearing the hoodie that we see in Kanto 1. The reason I bring this up, and because of several things that will go on to this, and Don Quixote has mentioned how she's short. Initially, when these new graphics were released, that was a 50. They had accidentally put all these numbers 1 too low, or 10 too low, I guess. So it looked like Don Quixote had shrunk about 10 inches, or 10 centimeters, I believe it is. So yeah, just a nice fun thing. Regular check is just a fun intervallo. But, well, that's not as fun. We'll get into that next time, but until then, see you guys later!